Skies above Colorado almost caused a mid-air crash, if you believe the pilot. Earlier this week, a corporate jet pilot reported seeing a, quote, large remote-controlled aircraft, end quote, near his plane while flying over Denver. Beautiful skies over Denver, by the way. Investigators say the object didn't show up on radar, but radio transmissions between the cockpit and air traffic control captured the moment. Listen.
Remote-controlled aircraft or what? Something just went by the other way. About 20 to 30 seconds ago, and it was like a large remote-controlled aircraft.
Now the FAA is investigating. The question is, was it an unmanned drone or a remote-controlled aircraft? Aviation safety expert and former FAA official Steven Wallace joins us right now from D.C. Steven, good morning to you.
Good morning.
You know, I think people's minds go to drones these days. Are there drones flying around America that this could have been?
Well, there are drones flying around America, but under very, very strictly controlled regulations. The FAA has a process. These drones were particularly used by the military and government entities. Now there's increasing interest in them, but so there are more than 100 active certificates authorizing operation of drones. But very strictly controlled, restricted airspace. If they're anywhere near other aircraft, they have to be equipped with a transponder so they can be seen on radar. They have to be visually guided if they're in a situation where the airspace isn't restricted and they're depending on kind of the normal see and avoid collision avoidance, then someone has to be in visual contact either from the ground or a chase plane. So yes, they're up there. They're very, very carefully controlled. So I'd be surprised if in the approach control airspace into Denver there was a drone, as you say.
All right, so we're talking about around 8,000 feet. Which limits the possibilities of what it was. The pilot wasn't seeming to claim it was anything other than that. He said a remote-controlled aircraft, which would suggest to you that it's a smallish aircraft. The reading I've done on this suggests that there are sort of PR firms and photographers who use some of these devices to go up. But would that be 8,000 feet in the air?
I would think not. But 8,000 feet, I mean, the pilot said a drone, I'm glad I just heard the tape on your show here for the first time, because what he said was not absolutely definitive. There's a drone or something. So, I mean, I understand there are 10-foot wingspan pelicans in that area and at that altitude. So I'm not dismissing what the pilot said, and the FAA certainly isn't either. But again, I'd be surprised if at the end of the day it turns out to have been a remotely piloted aircraft.
Zoraina's got a puzzled look on her face right now. What's that?
The pelican, I mean, you can tell the difference between a pelican and perhaps a plane. I mean, right? There is no similarity there between the two. It seemed odd to me that...
Well, that's absolutely right, but, you could be operating at 250 knots below 10,000 feet there, and so things can go by very fast. And pilots, again, I'm not dismissing what the pilot said. I think that to just kind of speak what I think is the public's real concern here is that what if one of these things hit an airline or flew?
Right.
Well, that's exactly the point. Right. What if? I mean, is this something that the FAA should be taking extremely seriously and absolutely figuring it out? Or is this, what you're saying is sort of, look, could have been anything, probably not a big deal?
Well, the FAA will do the best it can. They've already reviewed the radar data. They don't see anything. They've listened to audio tapes to see if other pilots saw something. I think that the public can take some comfort in the fact that we operate 32,000 scheduled flights a day in this country. The last mid-air collision with a U.S. airliner was 34 years ago.